Welcome to Relation Tales. Please like this video and subscribe Relation Tales. We're grateful for each and every one of you. Let us know where in the world you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let's begin. Marcus Hale had always believed marriage was about routines. Morning coffee shared half awake, evenings where laughter softened the edges of exhaustion, and whispered talks before sleep. But lately, those routines had soured. His wife, Lauren, had grown colder, her eyes often locked on her phone instead of him, her excuses for late nights multiplying. It was Thursday evening when she walked into their living room, shoulders squared like a soldier about to issue orders. Marcus had just set down his tablet when she said flatly, "I've made a decision. I'm taking a month-long trip alone." There was no hesitation, no attempt to soften the blow. Just a decree dropped into the quiet room. Marcus leaned back in his chair, studying her. "That's so." Lauren's chin lifted, her voice calm. "I need time to reset, to clear my mind." Her tone wasn't tired. It was rehearsed, planned. And for Marcus, that was the first crack that told him something darker hid beneath. "You've already booked it," he said evenly. She hesitated, just for a flicker, then nodded. "Flights, hotel. It's all set." "You went that far without telling your husband." "It's my time off, Marcus. I don't need approval." Marcus gave her a long look, then allowed a small smile to touch his lips. "You're right. But if you're disappearing for a month, maybe I should figure out how to spend my time too." Her eyes narrowed. "What does that mean?" "Exactly what it sounds like." Lauren shifted, clearly unnerved by his lack of protest. She muttered something about being stuck in a rut and stormed upstairs. Marcus didn't follow. He sat alone, letting the silence wrap around him, every nerve screaming what his gut already knew. This wasn't about space. This was betrayal disguised as self-care. The confirmation came the next morning. As Marcus sipped his coffee, a message buzzed on his phone. It was from Jenna, one of Lauren's colleagues. They weren't close, but she had always been kind. "Hey, Marcus. Sorry if this is awkward, but is everything okay? Because Lauren's been talking about this trip for weeks, and I just heard someone else will be there too." Marcus's stomach dropped. "Who?" Her reply was swift. "Daniel. You know, the guy she always has lunch with. She swears it's coincidence, but I thought you deserved to know." Marcus stared at the screen, every late night, every tilted phone screen, every busy at the gym, excuse crashing into place like puzzle pieces forming an ugly truth. That night, when Lauren returned, he had dinner ready. She sat down, smiling faintly, her usual performance of exhaustion. "How was your day?" Marcus asked calmly. "Hectic. Had to cover for someone." "Daniel," he said smoothly. Her fork froze midair. "What?" "From your team. You two eat together often, right?" Her eyes sharpened. "Why bring him up?" "Jenna mentioned him." "You're talking to Jenna about me now?" "Not exactly. More like she seems to know more about your travel plans than I do." Color drained from her face. She shoved her chair back, snapping. "You're jumping to conclusions." "Am I?" Marcus's tone was calm, controlled. "So you're not sneaking around?" "He's just a friend," she hissed. "Then why hide him?" Her only response was silence before she stormed off to their bedroom, purse clutched like a weapon. Marcus didn't chase her. He sat in the quiet, his pulse steady, his mind already moving past shock into strategy. If she wanted deception, he would deliver something sharper, something unforgettable. Marcus didn't sleep much that night. While Lauren tossed and turned upstairs, pretending her conscience wasn't screaming, Marcus sat downstairs in the dim glow of a lamp, replaying every detail of the past few months. The late-night work emails, the extra gym classes, the way her laughter sounded forced at home but effortless when she typed on her phone. It all made sense now. And instead of drowning in anger, Marcus felt something sharper, a cold clarity. The next morning, during his lunch break, Marcus made a call. On the third ring, a familiar voice answered. "Marcus? Wow, long time." It was Claire, a travel photographer he'd once dated years before Lauren. Their breakup hadn't been bitter. They'd simply grown apart, but they'd stayed in casual touch over the years. "Yeah, it's been a while," Marcus said, his voice measured. "Quick question. Are you still heading to Lisbon next week?" "Yes," she replied cautiously. "What?" Marcus paused, a small smile tugging at the corner of his lips. "Mind if I tag along?" There was silence, then a soft laugh. "Everything okay?" I just need to get out of town, he said simply. Clear my head. Claire agreed, warning him that she'd be working most of the time, but Marcus didn't care. This wasn't about romance. It was about strategy, about refusing to sit still while his wife thought she was orchestrating her little fairy tale escape with another man. That evening, when Lauren came home, she was practically glowing. Her heels clicked against the floor, and she dropped onto the sofa with a grin. Guess what? The hotel upgraded my room. Ocean view, balcony, the works. Marcus gave her a steady look, hiding his disgust behind calm. Nice, he said smoothly. I booked something too. Her smile faltered. You did? Yeah. Heading to Portugal. Meeting up with Claire. Her face drained of color. Claire? As in your ex? Technically, yes, Marcus said evenly. But we're just friends now. We'll travel together for a bit. For the first time in weeks, Lauren's composure cracked. That's unexpected, she stammered. Is it? Marcus asked quietly. You'll be in the same city as Daniel for a whole month. Doesn't that strike you as unusual? She flinched like he'd struck her. That's not the same. Of course not, Marcus replied, his voice calm but edged with steel. The silence between them stretched heavy, almost suffocating. Lauren tried to sip her wine casually, but her hand trembled. For once, Marcus saw fear in her eyes, the realization that the game she thought she controlled had shifted. The next few days were thick with tension. Lauren moved around the apartment cautiously, like a thief waiting to be caught. Marcus didn't confront her again. Instead, he let the silence build, let her paranoia stew. He cooked dinner, read books, handled his routine as if nothing was wrong. And that drove her mad. Then his phone buzzed. It was Jenna again. Lauren's unraveling. She thinks this is payback. Marcus smirked. I'm just going on a trip. She's telling people you're being spiteful. Jenna wrote back. Marcus chuckled darkly to himself. Like how she secretly planned a 4-week getaway with her coworker, he muttered. Hypocrisy had always been Lauren's silent companion. A few days later, Jenna called him. Her voice was urgent. Marcus, she's lied about more than the trip. She's been telling people she and Daniel are serious. But here's the kicker. Daniel's not going alone. He's bringing his ex. Everyone knows, except Lauren. Marcus closed his eyes, letting the irony sink in. His wife had bet everything on a man who hadn't even chosen her. You're telling me she has no idea? None. She thinks she's heading into some romantic escape, and instead, she's walking straight into humiliation. For the first time in weeks, Marcus felt genuine laughter bubble out of him. Bitter, sharp, but real. That evening, Lauren came home humming, still riding the high of her delusions. She kicked off her shoes, tossed her purse aside, and said, Guess what? Daniel messaged me. He said he's counting down the days. Marcus leaned back, sipping his drink. Is that right? Did he also mention he'll be bringing his ex? The words hit her like a brick. Her face paled instantly. What? You heard me. He's going with her. They've been reconnecting. Everyone knows. Everyone except you. Her lips trembled. That's absurd. Jenna heard it from Daniel himself. And she wasn't the only one there. It's already spread at your office. You're the last to catch on. Her hand shook as she gripped her phone, retreating into the bedroom. Marcus didn't follow. He let her sit in the ruins of her own lies. An hour later, she emerged, her eyes red, her voice breaking. It's true. He admitted it. Marcus raised his glass in mock sympathy. That's rough. She collapsed onto the couch, shoulders shaking. I can't believe this. I can't believe he'd do this to me. Marcus locked eyes with her. You didn't see it coming, Lauren? You lied to me, hid things from me, and you thought he was different? You thought the man you betrayed your husband for would treat you better. She swallowed hard, trying to form words, but nothing came. I'm canceling the trip, she whispered at last. Probably for the best, Marcus replied coldly. But inside, he wasn't done. Her humiliation was only the beginning. Marcus had bigger plans. Plans that would ensure Lauren never forgot the cost of betrayal. Lauren didn't know it yet, but Marcus had no intention of letting things fade into quiet forgiveness. Betrayal had weight. It didn't vanish because she cried or admitted she'd been duped. Marcus wanted her to feel the sting of her choices, the way he'd felt it gnawing into his chest. On Friday morning, Marcus zipped his suitcase shut. Lauren leaned in the doorway, her arms folded tightly across her chest. You're really still going? She asked, her voice brittle. Of course. Marcus said smoothly. Claire's expecting me. Her jaw clenched. But I canceled my trip. We could use this time to talk. To fix things. He turned, meeting her eyes with calm steel. You weren't interested in fixing anything when you lied about Daniel. You weren't interested when you made plans to vanish for a month without telling me. Now that your little fantasy collapsed, suddenly you want to patch us back together. Her mouth opened, but no words came. Marcus wheeled his suitcase toward the door. You made a choice, Lauren, and now you get to live with it. She stood frozen as he left, silent tears sliding down her face. Marcus didn't look back. Lisbon was alive the moment Marcus stepped into it. Sunlight bouncing off tiled buildings, street musicians filling the air with raw, aching notes, the ocean breeze tangling through every corner of the city. And for Marcus, it felt like oxygen. Claire was waiting for him at a cafe near the hotel. Her auburn hair was tied back loosely, a camera slung over her shoulder. She grinned when she saw him. Marcus Hale, she said, standing to hug him. Of all the surprises this week, you're at the top of the list. He smiled faintly. Glad to hear that. Over espressos and pastel de nata, Claire studied him. So what's the story? You look like a man carrying something heavier than luggage. Marcus leaned back, eyes on the bustling street outside. Let's just say I'm here because my wife decided secrets were easier than honesty. And I decided not to sit quietly while she rewrote our marriage behind my back. Claire tilted her head. And now, Marcus said, his voice low and steady, she'll learn what it feels like to watch someone slip away while you're left holding nothing. Claire didn't press further. She respected silence the way only photographers did. Sometimes what wasn't said told the whole story. Back home, Lauren spiraled. Jenna kept Marcus updated with texts. She's telling people you left to punish her. She's terrified you and Claire are rekindling things. She's begging Daniel to explain himself, but he won't answer her calls. Marcus read the messages at night, lying on the balcony overlooking the glowing river, a glass of port wine in hand. For once, he felt no urge to reply to Lauren's desperate texts flooding his own phone. Marcus, can we talk? Marcus, please don't do this. I made a mistake. Don't throw us away. He ignored every one of them. Instead, he leaned into Lisbon, walking through narrow alleys with Claire as she hunted for photo spots, sharing quiet dinners where conversation slipped easily between them. There was no romance, but there was connection. Something real, untainted by lies. And every moment he chose silence with Lauren, he knew the revenge was tightening around her like a vice. A week into his trip, Marcus got a call from Jenna. She's breaking down, Jenna said without preamble. Lauren came into the office today, tried to act normal, but everyone knows. They're whispering about her, about how Daniel dropped her, how you're overseas with someone who actually respects you. She can't handle it. Marcus's lips curled into a grim smile. Good. Let her feel it. Let her taste the humiliation she was so ready to serve me. Jenna hesitated. Do you want her completely ruined? Marcus thought for a moment, then answered with a measured calm. I don't need to ruin her. She's doing that all on her own. All I have to do is step back and let her collapse under the weight of her own choices. One night, Marcus sat with Claire on the balcony after a long day of shooting. She passed him her camera, showing him a photo she'd captured, sunlight spilling through cracked shutters, illuminating dust like tiny stars. It's beautiful, Marcus murmured. She gave him a knowing look. You're not here just to get away, Marcus. You're here to reclaim something. Yourself. For a long time, Marcus stayed quiet. Then he nodded. I guess I am. For years, I let Lauren dictate our story. But I finally realized I get to choose the ending. Claire placed her hand lightly over his. Not romantic, just grounding. Then choose it wisely. Back in the States, Lauren's unraveling reached its peak. Her messages grew frantic. Marcus, I'm scared. Everyone knows. Please just tell me if Claire means something to you. I'll do anything to fix this. Please come home. Marcus didn't answer. Not yet. Her silence when she betrayed him had been deafening. Now she would sit in hers. When his flight finally touched down weeks later, Marcus walked through their apartment door, carrying only the clarity Lisbon had given him. Lauren sat curled on the couch, clutching her phone, eyes red from crying. She shot to her feet when she saw him. Marcus, her voice cracked. How was the trip? Did it help you figure things out? He set his bag down calmly, meeting her desperate eyes with a steady gaze. "It did," he said. "I figured out exactly who I am, what I deserve, and what I will never tolerate again." Her face crumpled. "Marcus, I was wrong. I see that now. Please, we can fix this." He cut her off, voice calm, but edged with finality. "No, Lauren, you don't fix betrayal. You live with it. And now, you'll live with losing me." Lauren froze at his words, her lips parting as if to speak, but nothing came out. Her hands trembled at her sides, her eyes darting across his face as though searching for a shred of softness that might let her cling to hope. But Marcus wasn't the same man who had once absorbed every excuse, who had once swallowed every half-truth. This Marcus was steady, unyielding. "Marcus," she whispered finally, her voice raw. "Please, I was foolish. I thought Daniel cared. I see now how wrong I was. I don't want him. I want us. I can fix this. I can prove it to you." Marcus tilted his head, studying her like a stranger. "You didn't think about us when you booked a hotel room with him. You didn't think about us when you lied night after night. Now that he's tossed you aside, suddenly I'm worth fighting for." Her face crumpled, tears spilling freely. "It was a mistake." "No," Marcus interrupted firmly, his voice cutting the air like a blade. "Cheating isn't a mistake. It's a decision. Every text you hid, every late-night call, every lie you rehearsed, those were choices. And now you want me to forget all of them because your fantasy blew up in your face." She dropped to the couch, sobbing into her hands. "I can't lose you. You're all I have left." Marcus's chest tightened, not out of pity, but out of the final clarity he needed. He walked past her, into their bedroom, and began pulling open drawers. One by one, he packed his clothes, his watch, the few books that mattered to him. The sound of the zipper closing on his suitcase filled the silence between her sobs. Lauren rushed to the doorway, her eyes wide with panic. "You're really leaving me?" Marcus zipped the last compartment, then stood tall. "You left me long before I packed this bag. The night you chose him, the night you chose lies over truth, you walked out of this marriage. I'm just following the path you already set." Her breath hitched as she clutched the doorframe. "Where will you go?" "Anywhere that doesn't reek of betrayal," Marcus replied, his tone calm, almost eerily so. He lifted the suitcase and brushed past her. She followed him into the living room, desperation bleeding into every word. "Please, Marcus. I'll change. I'll prove it to you. Don't throw everything away." Marcus paused by the door, hand on the knob, and looked back at her one last time. His eyes were sharp, but his voice was steady, free of anger. "I'm not throwing anything away, Lauren. I'm finally choosing myself. Something you never thought to do for me." The door clicked shut behind him. The weeks that followed were quieter than Marcus had imagined. His new apartment was smaller, its walls bare, but the air was clean, free of secrets and late-night lies. Each morning, he brewed coffee and sat by the window, watching the sunrise spill gold across the skyline. It wasn't extravagant, but it was his peace. Claire called once just to check in. Over the phone, she told him gently, "You look lighter in the photos I took of you in Lisbon. Like a man who finally stepped out of someone else's shadow." Marcus smiled faintly. "That's exactly what I did." Back in her world, Lauren tried to spin the story. Friends whispered of how she painted Marcus as cruel, as vindictive. But the truth was too loud to silence. People knew about Daniel, about her trip, about the way she'd gambled a marriage for a man who never wanted her. And every rumor she spread only tightened the noose she'd tied around her own reputation. Marcus didn't need to ruin her. She'd already done that herself. His revenge had been simple, walking away and refusing to let her rewrite what she destroyed. One afternoon, Marcus sat with Jenna over coffee. She gave him a half-smile. "You know, everyone says Lauren looks like she aged 10 years overnight. She's living in that apartment alone, like a ghost. She keeps asking people if he'll come back." Marcus stirred his cup slowly, then looked up. "And what do you tell her?" "I tell her the truth. That the man she lost isn't the same man who once forgave her little lies. That you're done." Marcus let out a slow breath, the weight in his chest finally gone. "Good, because I am." He left the cafe that day lighter than he'd felt in years. For once, his story wasn't about betrayal or revenge. It was about freedom, about a man who had been broken, and then chose to rebuild himself instead of living in the ruins. And as the sun dipped low on the horizon, Marcus knew the cruelest, most poetic revenge of all. Lauren would have to live every day knowing she lost him forever.